Most home selling advice starts with pricing. That's usually where the problems begin. This guide starts earlier because the biggest surprises sellers face don't come from listing the house. They come from committing to a sale before understanding what selling actually does to their position. This series follows the real order sellers experience, from deciding whether selling even makes sense through closing and the practical aftermath. It's built around the parts of the process that tend to create stress, not the parts that look simple on paper. Before we go further, it helps to know where this perspective comes from. I'm Doug Barry. I'm a realtor. I hold an MBA, and I stepped away from real estate for a period to work inside federal single family housing lending programs before returning to real estate. That meant seeing transactions from the other side where the math, timelines, and constraints are already locked in. The patterns you'll hear in this guide come from watching where sales tend to break down when assumptions don't hold up. This guide is especially useful if you're trying to decide whether selling actually improves your position, not just whether you can get the house sold. It's for sellers who want real numbers on net proceeds rather than list price optimism, who want fewer inspections and appraisal surprises, and who prefer grounded explanations over quick tips or hype. While this series is informed by how Abilene, Texas, and the Big Country market behaves, the decision structure applies anywhere. If you're looking for shortcuts or guarantees, this probably isn't the right place for you. If you want to understand the process well enough to make good decisions under pressure, you are in the right place. Selling is often harder than people expect because the hard part usually starts after you accept an offer. Inspections, repair negotiations, appraisal constraints, deadlines, title issues, and funding timing are where leverage shifts and stress shows up. That's why this series puts the math and the decision making first. If you don't understand your net proceeds, your timelines, and where your leverage actually comes from, selling can turn into a forced march, especially if the market doesn't support what you need your outcome to be. This series is written to be used in order. You can skip ahead, but most confusion sellers experience comes from jumping to pricing or listing before the foundation is set. If you're already under contract, later steps may help. But if anything feels tight or unclear, it's almost always because an earlier decision needs another look. A common issue for sellers is overestimating equity. Equity on paper is not the same thing as usable equity after commissions, repairs, concessions, appraisal limits, and timing friction. For many homeowners, usable equity doesn't really show up until later ownership years, and selling earlier often produces less cash than expected. This guide walks through that reality without trying to scare you out of selling or rush you into it. Many sellers are also buyers, sometimes within days of each other. If you're planning a sell and buy move, my buying series covers credit, budgeting, and lender timelines in more detail, and those early steps matter just as much on the selling side. Links to both the video and written buying guide are included in the description. This series is not about getting a house listed as quickly as possible. It's about making sure selling actually improves your financial position, protecting leverage through pricing discipline, and understanding where real negotiations happen, and reducing late-stage surprises that can derail a deal or force concessions. If this is your first episode in the home selling series, start here. The next step focuses on deciding whether selling makes sense at all before you price, list, or commit to a path that is hard to unwind later.